Hold on. Please display your invitation letter or permit. Glupov does not accept meeting requests without a prior appointment. You'll have to apply per the advertised booking process and wait until your invitation letter is issued. Might I ask who you're hoping to visit? Another one who thinks the rules don't apply to them. I don't understand why people think they can just talk their way in here. You don't just show up and land a meeting with the Harbinger. But I have to go through the motions for protocol's sake. Honestly, it's such a waste of time asking when I already know what the answer's gonna be. Wait a moment. I'll pass on your message. If Childe is unavailable, you'll have to go through the proper procedure. Lord Childe is a busy man. He's probably not in Glupov at the present. If I were you, I'd cut your losses. No point waiting any longer. Even if you two are old friends as you claim, please understand that the Fatui Harbingers are often busy with their official duties. They tend not to stay in Glupov for extended periods. Next time, stick to the rules. You'll make life easier for both of us, Greetings, Lady Marionette.
I'll take care of our guest here. It's his first time in Snezhnaya, so it's no surprise that he doesn't know the rules yet. I trust no choice words have been exchanged. No misunderstandings I should be aware of.
No, Lady Marionette. No incidents to report. Whew, that was a close call. Good thing I played it cool.
Is that right? Good to know. Wait, where's Paimon? Under the weather? That's hard to imagine. She's always buzzing with energy. I take it she's still adapting to the climate. Happens to a lot of people. It's even colder here than in Nodcry. Has she seen a doctor? I can get you one if you need. All right then. Well, let me know if you run into any other problems. Why else? I was just about to sit down for some much-needed tea time when I heard that an old friend of Tartaglia's had shown up outside. No appointment, nothing. And, as obnoxious as it may be to show up uninvited at Glupov, I couldn't help but take pity on the poor soul who was waiting outside in vain. So I had no choice but to abandon my freshly brewed piping hot tea and come to see this mystery guest for myself. Well, I felt our time working together in Nodcry warranted some courtesy. I couldn't exactly let you freeze to death out here in the wind. Unfortunately, I can't invite you inside either. The rules of Glupov wouldn't allow it, and as a Harbinger, I have to lead by example. On the plus side, Snezhnograd actually has some class, unlike Nasha Town. Torchlight Books has a very nice selection of teas and cakes, so we can catch up there. Your treat, of course. Because I already wasted one perfectly good cup of tea today. That's why. I've ordered for the both of us. No objections, I assume. I'm sure you trust my taste. Okay, let's get down to business. I'm guessing you don't actually have any urgent business with Tartaglia, per se. You just want information, right? Wanna take a guess? Of course you'd say that. You shouldn't underestimate Counselor Tartaglia, you know. That's right. I'm sure you've heard of the Snezhnograd Vecha by now. Well, he's busy preparing some paperwork for their next meeting. They'll be discussing yet another extension to Project Stuzha. It's basically all anyone cares about in the Vecha these days. Yeah, he's more of the shoot first, ask questions later sort, isn't he? It all started with a very detailed letter that Capitano left for the jester, Piero, before leaving for Natlan. In that letter, he detailed the future arrangements for his subordinates. All of his key people were reassigned to Tartaglia. I guess he'd already prepared to leave us for good all the way back then. But Piero didn't reveal the contents of the letter until the events in Natlan had concluded. That was his reaction, too. Why me? With a bewildered look on his face. He'd always assumed Capitano looked down on him. He was a man who kept his thoughts to himself and barely spoke to him the whole time they'd known each other. But he occasionally brought Tartaglia along to my tea parties back in the day. So to the rest of us, it was clear that Capitano had quite a lot of respect for his young comrade. By the rest of us, I mean my tea party regulars. Arlecchino, Rosaline, and... actually, not Columbina. She was probably oblivious to it. Anyway, then the Liues situation happened. Normally, it took a lot to get under Capitano's skin, but that time he was furious. It's not really my place to talk about it, though. You can ask Tartaglia about it sometime. Basically, Tartaglia probably had the wrong idea about Capitano all along, right up until Piero revealed the letter he'd left behind. Capitano believed that despite Tartaglia's immaturity, he showed great potential. Plus, he possessed a kind of purity rarely seen among members of the Fatui. Yeah, it's one of the few things that I'd agree those two have in common. But there's one other reason why Capitano chose Tartaglia to assume command of his troops. He knew that after he was gone, several of the others would swoop in on his army like vultures. With the ones who stood to benefit the most being the rooster Pulcinella and regrader Pantalone. Once they divided Capitano's troops between them, they'd be more powerful than ever. No one would be able to stop them. So, you can see why Capitano chose to hand that letter to Piero, right? Exactly. Piero also needed to back a harbinger as soon as possible. And, all things considered, Tartaglia was the best choice. Even though Tartaglia has had the support of Northland Bank for a long time, he and Pantalone are ultimately not cut from the same cloth. I'd say Capitano made a good judgment call. Anyone else caught in this situation would probably feel like they'd been hung out to dry. His best course of action will be to distance himself from any shady business, while still maintaining friendly relations with Pantalone, but seeking Pulcinella's support at the same time. What's the point in having a tea party if you don't spill a little tea? Besides, none of this is confidential anyway. Ask any journalist out there. They'll give you all the lurid details. You'll see it firsthand if you ever sit in on a session of the Snezhnaya Betcha. All the factional strife, whether open or unspoken, it plays out for all to see in that one little room. Having a voice in the Vetcha is the only way to steer policies in your favor. So, every person in that room represents a particular interest group. Pantalone, for instance, represents the financial sector, and Tartaglia represents the Fatui soldiers. Personally, I have no interest in political jousting, but since I have a number of engineers and researchers under my command, I have to make their voices heard. Then there's Pulcinella, the linchpin of the Vetcha. He represents politics itself. Everything involves him, so nothing can bypass him. Any issue that comes up, he knows how to mediate. That's what the Tsaritsa values most about him.
I'm starting to see why everyone is so frustrated with the way things are, but also powerless to change it. A complex web of interests connects all parties involved, and the Tsaritsa sitting at the top adds another layer of complexity. It must be nearly impossible to come up with a perfect solution.
All right, I'm done carrying this conversation. Time for you to answer a question of mine. You must have known that you can get the info you needed from me. So why was Tartaglia the first person you asked to see and not me? Huh? Jealous? As if. Wait. Oh, I think I know what it is. Columbina passed on my message to you before you left Notcry, right? I only meant you should be mindful of which side you're on. Is that actually why you didn't ask for me? Because you took that to heart? You... fair enough. It's not your fault. I blame all these politicians I've been hanging around with lately. Always beating about the bush when they talk. I guess it must have rubbed off on me. Anyway, just ask for my help next time, okay? Little things like this are no problem.
Lady Marionette.
What now? Can't you see I'm on my break? Whatever it is, just leave it on my desk. I'll look at it later.
Sorry to disturb you during your break, ma'am, but I'm afraid it's an emergency.
Isn't it always? I've told you before. Fixing the tracks and transporting ice blocks does not constitute an emergency.
The equipment in Svietlolaitovka is in urgent need of maintenance. With how the weather's been recently, we suspect that the cause is a buildup of snow, exceeding the maximum weight limit. The supports on one of the machines broke and fell, awakening a dormant beast and leaving many of the ice miners trapped in a nearby ice cave. Luckily, Odette's team was nearby and launched a rescue operation, but we're still facing a severe manpower shortage for both the rescue and engineering teams.
I guess that's it then. Our tea party will have to end here. I'm the only engineer you'll need. Do you actually want to come with, or are you just saying that? Nice of you to return the favor. I'll have a couple of people look after Paimon. They can let her know that you had to step out for a while. Given how urgent this is, I'm sure she'll understand. And honestly, I'd rather have your help than anyone else's. Between your skills and experience, you'd be reliable help. Then let's go. You, take 2 people to Pavorier restaurant. Find his room and watch it like a hawk until we get back. If anything happens to Paimon, you'll be answering to me.
Yes, Lady Marionette.
They weren't exaggerating. This is really dangerous. It's a good thing only one of them broke. From what I've been told, most of the trapped miners are over in that direction. Yeah, you do that while I check the rest of the equipment. I'll evacuate the people around here as I go. Meet me back here as soon as you're done.
All right then. See you around. Hello, Lady Marionette.
I hear the rescue operation was a great success. I knew I could count on you. What brings you here, Odette? Here for a performance?
No, a Fatui mission. I happened to be nearby and heard the crash.
She hasn't introduced herself then. Odette is the prima ballerina of Snezhnograd. She's quite the celebrity. If you ever hear people mention the 2 crowning jewels of the Korailievsky troupe, they're talking about Odette and the prima donna, Vodianitsa. On top of that, Odette's also a rising Fatui star. It's looking likely she'll inherit the title of the Fair Lady. She learned all her combat skills from Rosaline herself. Used to be one of her most valued subordinates, too.
You flatter me, Lady Marionette.
If she's Rosaline's protege, that makes me... Never mind. There's no need to bring it up. No point making things awkward.
How's progress on your end, Lady Marionette?
Equally successful. I finished reinforcing all the equipment. Took me a little longer without Polonia's help. But the outcome is the same, of course. Even if the heavy snowfall summoned by that monster lasts for another 3 months straight, this equipment won't give way. All right, now that we're done here, it's time to get out of this blizzard. Sure, but Snezhnograd will send someone to investigate and draw up a relief plan. And I guess I'll have to write the incident report myself this time, since it involves a mechanical malfunction. First, Pantalone needs to approve the budget, then Pulcinella has to sign off on the plan. Once they've argued it out and reached a compromise, we can move forward. That's the rough process anyway. Could take anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending on how smoothly it goes. Yup, nothing we can do about it. There's a whole stack of incident reports like this back at the office.
The snow has eased a little for now, but there's no telling when that will change with that monster still at large. Fuel for heating is in short supply, and relief is weeks away. There's no immediate threat to life, but still, it just feels like there should be a better way.
Hey, quit daydreaming. Let's get back to Snezhnograd. Well, if it isn't Counselor Tartaglia, Mr. Big Shot himself.
Go easy on me, all right? I'm still recovering from the interrogation the real Big Shots put me through. Hey, comrade, it's been too long. I heard you came looking for me earlier. Nicest surprise I've had in a while. Good to see you too, Odette. I'm guessing you guys just got back from Sviatlo-Laidovka. How'd it go? Crisis averted?
It went fine.
How about you? Any new developments?
Not really. Same as ever. Growing opposition to Project Stuzha, and the usual rebuttals are starting to ring hollow. The results of the mock vote were pretty dire. Pulcinella was fuming. I've never seen the old man so angry.
That's not good news. It takes a lot to rattle him.
Yeah, obviously if push comes to shove, there are ways to crack down on dissent. But
Sorry, I have to ask something. This is going to sound blunt, but may I?
huh? Of course, fire away.
It sounds to me like everyone's tearing their hair out trying to figure out how to deal with opposition to Project Stuzha. But what exactly is this project's purpose? And how can it be so important that even people like you two refuse to stand up for the ordinary people of Snezhnaya?
Interesting. I gotta hand it to you, comrade. You sure don't mince your words.
Excuse him? What does he mean, refuse to stand up for ordinary people?
Oh my gosh. How does he dare speak to the Harbingers like that?
Are you interrogating us now?
It's okay, Sandrone. Let me explain. I think I understand where he's coming from. If I could, I'd take your side right now. In fact, my position's very similar to yours. I've only held back on casting a dissenting vote in the Vecha because the Tsaritsa would never let me get away with it. Still, I have a responsibility to the Fatui armed forces, so I do what I can to make their voices heard. Most of them are just regular folks from small towns far from the capital. I'm sure you've seen how much those kinds of places are struggling right now. Oh, and for what it's worth, I'm from Arepasak myself. Things aren't going so swell there either. The Tsaritsa wants to create a better, safer future for the people of Snezhnaya, but she's thinking long-term. I don't doubt that from where you're standing, Project Stuzha seems to be creating all sorts of issues for everyone. But considering the Tsaritsa's vision for the future, these are sacrifices worth making. Sounds cold, I know, but I promise it's not as black and white as it seems. Maybe Sandrone and I can't oppose Project Stuzha outright, but we're constantly raising our concerns in Vecha meetings. And even though we can't put an end to it, there are plenty of other ways to make a difference. We're trying everything we can think of, and so is Pulcinella. I respect Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa, and trust her decisions. But at the end of the day, I'm still just a normal guy who cares deeply about my homeland. And my family, who all live here. There's no way I would ever abandon them.
As contentious as things can get within the Vecha, there's no selfishness or malice behind it. Everyone wants to get through this period as smoothly as possible. The issue is that there's no way of pleasing everyone under the present circumstances. Most of the time, we're trying to decide on the lesser of two evils, which obviously isn't a great look. But that is not the same thing as being blindly loyal to the Tsaritsa. No one's got their head in the sand here. We're all well aware of the way things are. We're just doing our best to make it work.
In fairness to Sandrone, she rushed to Sviatlo-Laidovka's aid the moment she heard that people were in danger. And even Tartaglia, who used to only care about the thrill of the fight, is clearly doing his best to rise to the demands of his new role as counselor.
Hey, come on. There's only so much we can say, so don't press us too hard. Look, I know how untenable the Tsaritsa's position looks if you don't understand her motives. Maybe you've heard already, but she's currently leading her army on a campaign to the east to defeat the monster that's been causing these brutal blizzards. Striking that monster down will be a significant step in dealing with the present energy crisis. As laser-focused as she is on realizing her lifelong ambitions, she's still putting time and energy into taking down this powerful monster. To me, that says a lot. If she thought Snezhnaya and its people didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, why would she waste her time on something like this? Thanks. I meant every word I said, though. I wasn't just trying to placate you. I've already done more than enough diplomacy for one day.
I still think this adventurer raises a very important point. Our two harbingers have made their positions very clear. But there are many others in the Vecha who must feel trapped and forced to vote against their conscience. I think it's a very valuable quality to be willing to speak one's mind, despite the risk of offending powerful figures.
You can say that again. I highly doubt we'd feel the need to explain ourselves so much if we didn't know you so well.
Forgive me, adventurer, but might I be so bold as to ask about your background? How is it that you can converse so openly with two harbingers?
Oh, haven't you been properly introduced?
Easier said than done. I like to think I'm not the kind of person who goes around busting open people's old wounds.
I've only learned his name so far, and no details of his experiences. Is something wrong?
Uh-oh. Is there no avoiding the subject of Rosaline?
No, it's just... all right. I guess there's no getting around it. This is the world-renowned traveler, who helped resolve the storm terror threat in Mondstadt, cleaned up after the mess I made in Liyue, and then went to Inazuma, where... there was a duel before the throne, in which the traveler defeated Rosaline.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't think you two would be seeing much of each other, so I figured it wasn't worth bringing up.
It's fine. It was a long time ago. It's fine. Sorry. I just remembered that we have a rehearsal coming up. Please excuse me. I should get going.
I've mentioned this to you before, remember? She was Rosaline's most valued subordinate. But they didn't actually get along. Not that Rosaline was really the type of person to make friends, but... death has a way of resolving a lot of conflicts.
Don't let it weigh on you. Like she said, it was a long time ago. It's in the past now. Odette has a very different personality from Rosaline. Give her some time. I'm sure she'll work through it. Oh, by the way, where's Paimon? It's not like her to hide away.
She hasn't been feeling well, so she's resting at Podvorier restaurant. I got a couple of my people to look after her while we were gone.
Oh, right. Sorry to hear that. Poor thing. Reminds me of when Tonya was little. She really felt the cold back then. Used to get ill all the time. I felt so bad for her seeing her lying in bed, coughing. She was so mature for her age, though. Whenever someone came to visit her, she'd greet them with a smile and would never complain. I'm sure Paimon's a good kid, too. You're a little short on manpower, right? Let me have a couple of my people take over for yours. I'll send my most capable and reliable. They'll make sure Paimon can recover in peace.
Well, that would be great. Your people are more qualified.
Hey, don't mention it. I'm sure you have things to do. Hopefully this takes a load off your mind. So no more accusing me of not being on your side, all right?
Already? That was quick.
I'm afraid I can't help you there. Our director's recent movements are confidential. Even we're not in the loop. If you hadn't told me, I never would have known he'd gone south. I assumed he'd been in Glupov this whole time. Well, I guess I'd better go sort out Paimon's security situation. I have some other work to catch up on at Glupov anyway.
Me too. I have an incident report to write up. Let's leave it there for now.
So surely, their relationship can't always have been this strained.
You two are getting off topic. Let's focus on...
Oh, right. What are your plans for the rest of the day? Shall we head out?
Hey, comrade. I noticed you were here during the debate.
I didn't take you for a political enthusiast.
Greetings, Harbingers. I just happened to have some free time today, and my new friend here thought it might be fun to check out the Vetcha.
Ah, Odette must have introduced you. Looks like you two are getting along pretty well.
I'll leave you to catch up. I should head back to the troop.
Sure. Break a leg and all that. Thought it might be fun to check out the Vetcha, did you? Things are never that simple with you, Traveler. There's no way you're here for kicks and giggles. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. To some, he's a captivating enigma. To others, he's the bane of their existence. No one ever thought that some anonymous nobody from the Rokot could cause such a stir. Huh? You want to look into Lelik? Then I'm sure his days of anonymity are numbered. What do you think, Sandrone?
Fine by me, I guess. If the Traveler actually manages to expose Lelik, it'll be doing Pulcinella a favor. In return, it seems fair to let him in on what we've learned so far.
My thoughts exactly. Sharing is caring, after all. Head back to Glupov and grab the files on Lelik. It's easier to just pull the records than go through the rigmarole of getting the Traveler a visitor's permit.
As you command, child, sir.
In that case, since we're going to be waiting anyway, I'll have someone brew a pot of black tea.
One common thread among the many incidents Lelik has been involved in is that the victims are all too scared to share any real information about him. His modus operandi is to silently infiltrate the scene and leave a threatening letter behind. But neither the letters nor the crime scenes ever yield any clues to his identity. So all these files have to offer are short statements by the people affected. They don't give us a lot to go on.
If nothing else, it shows we're dealing with a trained professional who's versed in counter-surveillance.
Yes, and to that point, he often strikes in highly secure locations. The victims are high-ranking and influential people who take their personal security very seriously. Somehow, Lelik slips right into their rooms without making a sound. There's never any eyewitnesses, nor the slightest trace of a break-in. If he can get in and out undetected, it means he can strike without warning. Not that that's ever happened so far, but the thought is enough to scare these people sleepless. It's hard to believe that a human being could pull this off flawlessly every time, so they switched the focus of the investigation to Faye. Unfortunately, no one's found anything yet. Careful, don't underestimate me. Although truth be told, I'd probably find it hard not to blow my cover. Direct confrontation is more my style.
We haven't ruled out the possibility of Lelik being human. It's just... there can only be a handful of people in all of Teyvat who'd fit the profile. Faye, on the other hand, plenty would have the ability, but few would have the motive.
No, not as strong as me. You'll never find the culprit with criteria like that. Let's go with a little weaker than me. There's no denying that Master is strong, but meticulous. We can only hope.
He's just trying to find a reference point. Stop getting fixated on who's stronger than who.
But that's the most important thing. In my opinion, anyway.
Odette. Yeah, that seems about right. Her skills are solid, and she's always calm under pressure.
Except she's Fatui, so the likelihood of her working against us is pretty low. But yeah, much more accurate than your previous example, at least.
No, wait a moment. Maybe we should interrogate that assumption.
What do you mean? Which assumption?
Her Fatui identity doesn't necessarily exonerate her. And when you think about it, the Rokot would be precisely what she needs to conceal her identity.
Plus, she wouldn't need to be such a pro at covering her tracks. She'd already know where the Fatui will be and when, so she could choose the perfect time to act. Oh, yikes. I was just thinking out loud. Why is this starting to sound like such a convincing theory? Still, what reason could Odette possibly have for trying to call off Project Stuzha?
Arlecchino would be the best person to ask. She knows Odette best. Unfortunately, she isn't back yet. Rosaline used to open up to her in private about her struggles with Odette. As I'm sure you can imagine, Arlecchino is quite a lot better with children than Rosaline was. She gave her some tips on how to handle the situation, and Rosaline managed to reach a settlement with Odette before leaving. So I suppose there were at least no lifelong regrets left behind. Beyond that, I don't know the details about that side of things. But I do know that Odette definitely has a motive to hold a grudge against Project Stuzha. The reason being, her father passed away during the early stages of the project. That was back before it had been named Project Stuzha, when things were still being worked out. But in essence, it's remained the same ever since.
Huh. The more you know. Rosaline was always so self-centered. I never understood why she started paying so much attention to Odette. Is that such a surprise? If you cast your mind back, you may remember that Rosaline and I weren't exactly close. We had tea together a few times, but that was about it.
Odette's past is no secret. Her father was a Fatus and her mother was a very famous ballerina. On the surface, it looks like she followed right in her parents' footsteps. But the truth is quite a different story. After her father passed away on a mission, her mother was overcome with grief. She broke her leg during a performance and could never dance again. Odette was only interested in ballet at the time, but this tragedy left the family with both breadwinners gone. They could barely make ends meet. Per Capitano's policy, family members of Fatui who died in the line of duty had to be appropriately accommodated and provided with adequate assistance. So, regardless of how Rosaline may have felt about it, it fell to her to resolve the issue of Odette's family's livelihood. In the end, the solution they agreed upon was to have Odette join the Fatui.
Right, because the alternative would have been a one-off compensation payment, I guess. In that sense, joining up was definitely the better option. Still, she must have had mixed feelings about it, right? If she doesn't even like the Fatui...
It's just a theory, a possibility. But as a motive for Odette to become Lelik, it holds up. That said, I have no idea where Odette's head is at right now, or what her conflict with Rosaline was about. Plenty of people were on bad terms with Rosaline. I have no intention of trying to figure it all out. Yes, but there's not much point in discussing that now.
Yeah, back to Lelik. Since our investigations so far have turned up next to nothing, we've got nothing to lose by trying a new angle. Funnily enough, Tonya and I had actually made plans to go to the theater tomorrow to watch Odette's rehearsal. Unfortunately, thanks to this Lelik situation, I'll be stuck working overtime again. Which means you can go in my place. No point wasting the ticket. Plus, you'll get to meet Tonya.
Spirit Seeker. Quite the classic ballet. It was passed down through Odette's mother's family for generations, though it hasn't been performed in years. But Odette's been practicing it diligently, and it's finally ready for a return to the stage. Excitement is through the roof. Tickets for the official performance sold out long ago.
Tonya's excited for it too. She's desperate to see it no matter what. Personally, it's not really my kind of thing, but since she's my little sister, I had to figure something out.
I've actually seen it several times before. The story's pretty straightforward. The lead character follows a trail of clues left behind by a spirit, gradually recovering her memories along the way. It's a tale of love and regret. So not exactly reinventing the wheel, at least by today's standards. But when that classic melody kicks in and the lead character begins to dance, it always gets me. It really is beautiful. Not an easy dance to do justice to, though. I know it's always been Odette's dream to perform this piece, but I'm not sure she's really ready.
In that case, I think that even if she is Lelik, we should wait until her performance is over before we respond. I'll let you take it from here, comrade.